you're working with transportation data, you need to use this dashboard. It's super easy, and I'll walk you through each of the steps, and even if you don't have any Power BI knowledge, you will be able to manage with it. So let's get started. So here we have the file that we will be working on. We have the origin city, state, and zip code, and we have the destination city, state, and zip code. In your case, you might have origin country only. From one country to the other country would be the flow. It's not a problem. The steps would exactly be the same, so don't worry about it. Let's get started with this. So we have two sheets. We have the shipment sheet and the carrier sheet. So basically we will upload two tables in the Power BI. We will have the shipments table and the carrier table. Now, first we need to check what is linking these two tables together. So if you see the column A, where we have SCAC, and in the carrier as well, we have the same column. It is actually the carrier code, and here we have the carrier name for each code. Alright, so to import this into Power BI, we will close this, open Power BI. You will find the link of this file in the description below. You can download it and work with me on it. The most important thing to do over here is to save this file in a specific folder. So you need to create a new folder. It can be on desktop. I created Power BI Blue Star, and you can put the Excel file in that folder, and we will connect Power BI directly to this folder. So I will tell you the reason why we're doing this. So here we have the Power BI. First step is to get data, the data of that file into Power BI. So to do that, what we need to do is we can go to get data and connect it directly to Excel workbook. But in this case, we will not do that. Why? Because let's say that every month, every year we have, or every month, or we have New Year's data coming to us. So if we connect Power BI to only Excel file, one Excel file, then each time you will have new Excel file, for example, 2022 file, 2021 file, or the year 2025. Then we have to each time connect this Excel workbook to our Power BI report. Instead, what you would do is to connect it to a folder. So we'll click get data, another dialog box will open, and we'll connect it to the folder where we stored the Excel file. So we connect to folder, connect, and here we see here it's asking us the folder path. We can browse, and we can Power BI Blue Star is the folder where I kept the file, and I will connect it to this folder. Now, this dialog box will open, which will tell us which files we have in this folder. So you see that each row represents one file. So for now, in this folder, we only have one file. That's why there is only one row. We see if there were more Excel files, then we would have more rows in this table. For now, we will not combine it, load it, but transform it. If you press transform data, Power Query will open. Power Query is an ETL tool for Power BI. It extracts data from a folder, in our case, and transforms it, and then loads it to Power BI. So it's kind of like a middleman between the Power BI report and our folder. The Power Query's job is to do all the transformations, extract, and load the files. So the Power Query editor opened. If you want to learn more about Power Query, I have another video where you can learn, where we talk in more detail how Power Query works, and we do different kinds of transformations. So in this case, we will we have the same table open. What we want to do is first to put some restrictions. So here we have the name of the file and the extension. We only want from this folder to get Excel files. Right now we only have one Excel file, but might be that later on there would be in this folder some other files like CSV files or some other kind of files, and we do not want to import them in our Power BI report. So what we will do is we will put filter in this column of extensions, filter that it should contain .xls. This will ensure that the only file that is going to Power BI is an Excel file. Another filter that we want to put is the name. So the name should always be Blue Star, because it could be Blue Star 2020, Blue Star 2021. So in this case, if we have some other Excel file in the folder that we do not want in the Power BI, there. So let's put Blue Star. This would ensure that the Excel file name is always Blue Star and it's always Excel. So these two restrictions are enough for us. Now what we'll do is combine files. Combining files will load a set of queries over here, but first it would ask us which sheet do we want, because each Excel file has two sheets. In the start, what we will do is use the first sheet, which is the shipments sheet. Here we have the shipments sheet, and we want to load this data. Press OK. Now Power Query will make a set of queries over here, and we will also have here the steps. So here we have the consolidated version of the query, and here we have the sample query. So the sample query works on each specific file. First, the sample query works, and then this is consolidated into one sample file, one sample query. So I would always recommend to do as much transformations in the sample file than you would do in the whole consolidated query. So we will go to sample file. We would scan if you would like to transform anything. For now, everything looks fine. If you go to the final query, we see that everything is okay. Power Query has itself given our columns data types. What we want to do is just remove the source name column, and now we have everything. We can close and apply. This would load the query into this would load the table in the Power BI, as you will see now. Okay, so we haven't discussed what are these three tabs over here. The first one is the model one. Here you see the table that we've loaded. You can see the table loaded over here. So each table that we load will be visible in this model tab. Then we have the data tab. The data tab is the data that we just run through Power Query is loaded over here. And each time you want to go back to Power Query, you go here, edit query, and you'll go back to the Power Query page. But for now, we have the data here, and here report tab is the one where we make the visualizations like diagrams, graphs, and so on. So going back to the model, we see that we have only one table right now. We want the carrier table here as well. So what we'll do is again get data, and again we will go to folders and get the data. I again connect to folders and then connect. I could have copied the query that I used for the first table and then just change the sheet to carrier. But what I want you to do is to what I'm doing over here is to do the same steps, so this time it will be more clear for you. What do you want to give the folder path? The folder path that we will give is the Blue Star. Okay, connected. Again, we see that there's only one file. We transform the data. You see that here is another query now. Because till that point we have done the same queries. And in this one, you will make the same restrictions again. What are the restrictions? That it should be Excel contain .xls, and the name should be Blue Star always. In your case, whatever the name of the files you are using. Okay, so we have the same restrictions. Now we combine the file. Here is the difference that will happen. Here is the difference that will happen. So here we have the two sheets. Till this point was the same steps, but now instead of shipment sheet, we will choose the carrier sheet. We see the table of the carrier sheet and we load it. Here in the So the Power Query opened the carrier sheet. We can change the name over here to carrier for us to remember. So the first one was shipment sheet table, and the second one is the carrier one. So the carrier one that we have information. So here we see that there, and before going there, we need to see that another transformation file opened, the sample file. This sample file represents the carrier sheet. This transform sample file represents the shipment sheet. So for the transform sample file 2, which is for carrier, here we will make the change. So we need to make or transform one thing over here. And what is that? That you see that the first row is in fact the header, should be the header of the table. So what we'll do is click here, use first rows as headers. Okay, now we have the headers. We have an error here because the change type query action is referring to the column names. So we cancel that, and then now we can press shift, select all the columns, transform, detect data type. We can remove the source name, and now we have the finalized version of the table, which we will load in the Power BI. You will see here that another table will be open, which will be connected to the shipment one with this column. If you hover over the lines over here, we see that it's connected through this column, which is the common between both the tables. Now, we're mostly done with the backend work. Now it's time to make visualizations. So we go to the report. The first visualization that we want to make is the map. But not just any map, we want to put the flow map. So in this window, we have over here the visualizations, and here we have the two tables that we loaded. If we press arrow over here, we can see the column names. We can see over here the columns as well. The ones which were values, Power BI automatically summarize them. If you want to unsummarize, we can just click on them, and on this above we could just don't summarize or make average, minimum, and whatever. In this case, we leave them as some. So to get the map, flow map, what we have to do is, we will not find it here. We have to get more visuals. We have to put flow maps, search flow map, and here we see the flow map that we want to use. We will click on it. So any visualization that you want, you can always search for it, you can read about it, and then you can like add it. So as soon as we add it, over here we have the visualization here, the symbol. This means that we successfully did it. We click on it, we have in the panel we see the visualization box. Now notice that as soon as I click on this here, the information changes. What it's asking here is the parameters, the information, the filters that we have to put. So what we want to do is, for this map, we need to put the origin and the destination. In your case, could be start country and end country, start station and end station, origin country, origin destination, and so on. So for origin, we will put here origin city, and it will map these cities. We need to put the destination city. It's mapping the cities. And then what else we want to put is the width. The line width should represent something. So if you put the volume, the sum of volumes of the flows, so each width is representing the volume. So the thicker the line is, the bigger the volume was. The color also we can use for our purpose. So we can use weight, sum of weight as colors. So each flow line would represent the from and to, but also the color would represent the weight. The darker the color, the higher the weight, and the thinner the line, the lower the volume. So we see over here that this is the thickest and the darkest line, which in fact represents the highest volume going and highest weight going as well. What we want to do next is to have another table. But before that, what we want to do next is to add here in the tooltip the volume and the weight. What this would do is, as you hover over the flow lines, it would not just give us from and to, but it would also give us the sum of volume for that flow and the sum of weight for that flow, which is quite important in our case. The next visualization that we want to use is a simple table, because right now we do not have any numbers. It's better to have them in a number format, and the flow names as well. So we have a table over here. What you want to put over on the table is the information the same. We have the origin city, and also we will put the origin state, but above the city. So you see we have the origin state and the city. In the same way, we would put destination state and destination city under it. So this order over here would be followed over here, the order. Now right now this table doesn't have any values. Let's put some values in it in between. So we could put the volume, and we put it between columns, and it would show each volume of these flows separately. We can also put, instead of weight, let's put the freight paid. Sum of freight paid, we can paid, not paid. We could put it here. So we have origin, city, state, volume and freight paid for each of them, and the end, state and city. All right. The third visualization that we want to put, which is absolutely amazing when you have information like first start station and end station, and the wagons, trucks, or weight going. So this is an excellent diagram to be used in this kind of scenario, especially in the logistics, or even could be used for internet traffic and so on, is the Sankey diagram. We will search Sankey diagram over here, this one. We will add it. This will add the Sankey diagram here. Now we take this. First, we won't have to go out of the Power BI visual, or else if you have already selected something, it would replace that visual with that one, and we do not want that. So we will click on it. We have the visual over here. Now before we start working on the Sankey diagram, notice that as soon as I press any flow over here, the map changes accordingly. So this is pretty nice. We can hover over and see the values also, and it's all connected to each other. Absolutely love the feature of Power BI. All right, so now let's put in the Sankey diagram. Let's put in the Sankey diagram information. So if we choose, we need to provide source and destination, the same like map, the start and the end station. So what we will put is the origin state. Now I would recommend in Sankey diagram to always put the highest level of information you have. So for example, if you have city, state, and country, I would recommend to put the country here. So it's less messier. So in our case, we will put the origin state. In the source, we'll put the destination state in the destination field. We already see that it's forming, but right now it's not representing any values. So the weight we can put volume, sum of volume. Now it represents each of these lines represent the weight. We can also put what we can do further is to in any time we want to edit the visualization format, we go to this format your visual. First we select the visual, go to format your visual, and here we can play along with the features. So for example, data labels on, data labels off. What I want to do is the link. These are the links. I want to go to the links. If I want to change some color, I can change of a specific flow. In our case, what I want to do is to scale settings, and I would turn this feature off, so it would kind of like magnify the layers. And okay, now we can go back to the data of the visual. We have everything here. Okay, So the last visual that I want to add is the data card. Data cards are very nice when you want to show a specific number, the most important one. So here in the visuals, we will search card. First, we have to go out of the visual. You always have to remember that. And then put card. We have the card here. Now this card has only one information, the one field. So what do we want this field to represent? We can say the volume, actually. You can use the amount or any value you want. So this will give us the volume. We can again go to format visual and we can turn off the category label and the only number is visible now. Alright, we can make this visual a little bit smaller. This one as well. And make the Sankey diagram a little bit bigger. Right, we turn this off. Alright, so now we have our visualizations ready. Let's experiment with them. So we have here different flows. Let's say we choose this state flows. So if as soon as we click, notice that everything changes. We have these cities, the flows of these states. You can see in the map also. So for example, we have these two. We want to see further this one. We see that it's these are the amounts for that, and we have 2 million. Okay. To go out of the filters, you just click anywhere outside. We can check the flow of this, and you see the values changing. So it's pretty interesting. You could check which are connected to which ones, and this is a dashboard for your transportation data.